Alright guys, I've been kind of looking forward to doing this video, and this is one that I know everybody is always excited about learning. You know, they want to get some type of takeaway from a video like this. Um, so today's video, it's on the six-figure formula, and I'm going to kind of go over some things that have helped me make six figures in this business ever since I've been in it. My first year, within the first 7 months, I made six figures and never looked back. So a lot of times, I hear all the time, especially every one of the agents that we bring on, how did you do it? What did you do? I want to do what you did. And so I want to share with you, some things that I've done. A lot of this that you've heard already, but this is just a way to re-listen and be able to listen to it over and over. So hopefully it helps. But a video like this, it's for the people that want to get to the next level. So if you're not super serious about this, and if this is just kind of something that you're doing on the side, which is no problem, this is not really for you. This is for someone who wants to commit to six figures. They want a clear-cut map on how to get there, and somebody that's ultimately going to put the time in and do it, because that's one thing that it does do. You can't shortcut this. There is no magic potion. A lot of it is it's effort and having a great attitude. So one thing I want to make sure that everybody knows right away is that salespeople aren't born. And I've heard it. Some of my partners, they hear it a lot. Man, you're so good at this. It's like you've been doing this forever. Pretty much everybody that I've partnered up with, they had really no sales background at all. And the same was with me. I really didn't have much of a sales background. I was in purchasing for a long time and really didn't communicate a whole lot with anyone. Everything was done on the computer. So salespeople, they're not born. That is one thing that I think often gets misunderstood. Salespeople are made. How are they made? They're made by constant improvement on themselves. They read, they watch a ton of videos on YouTube, they listen to audios, they go to conferences, they do a lot of different things. That's what I've done. I surrounded myself with very knowledgeable people, but I daily, nightly, I'm always on YouTube. I'm always watching some of the greats, the people that I really like to listen to, whether it be on sales or motivation, because so much of sales, bottom line, is it's being highly motivated. So I spend a lot of time doing that, and I pick 2 or 3 people that I really want to key on, and I would suggest doing that. That way you're not bouncing all over the place, and you can kind of, you have 2 or 3 people, you can take bits and pieces of each one and then kind of create your own formula and philosophy. So that's what I highly suggest that. Constantly be reading every single day, and if you have a chance to do any kind of self-improvement, whether it be courses or maybe it's getting a coach or a mentor, which I've recently just done. Whatever it's going to take to get yourself to the next level. But for right now, for six figures, make sure you're doing a great job educating yourself. One thing that I strongly urge all of you is it's very simple. Use your car as your office, because it is. You're in that majority of your day. So you should always have some audios in there that you can, whether it's if you're struggling a little bit mentally, you don't want to be there today, have that audio. Mine's relentless. If I feel like my head's all over the place, I'm not quite in it, maybe I want to go home, I'll put that audio in by Tim Grover, and it's over. I'm back on track. I'm back where I need to be. It might be art of closing the sale. There's so many things. Could be 10x with Grant Cardone. Have several different things, maybe 2 or 3. Don't have to be a lot, but have some audios in your car at all times that you can put in. Um, a big one, you guys, anybody that's around me, you'll hear me say all the time, start your day right, start your day right. And that to me is like, and I've talked to other people in different professions, sales professions, common denominator, everything that comes back to me is if people don't start their day right, if they don't have their morning routine planned out specifically, they got no chance. They got no chance. So when I started getting that information back, and I was hearing it from multiple people, not just in insurance, but in any sales, business owners, anybody in the sales industry, everyone had the same thing. So I knew that was one thing I had to get. I really didn't have one prior to getting in and really getting serious about the sales. So things that I like to do, one thing that I've done recently, not everybody would be really up for this, but I thought it's been pretty good. First thing I do is I start with a really cold shower. I'm in there for 30, 45 seconds is about it. I'm trying to get it to where it's a minute. But just a quick cold shower. Instantly, I'm wide awake. I'm ready to go. I try to drink water. That's one thing I wasn't great at. I was great at drinking coffee and Diet Coke, but not great at drinking a lot of water. So I've been trying to really hit that a lot harder. Drinking water, first thing in the morning. Then I'm going to do a workout. Okay, and I'm not trying to work out to be a bodybuilder, obviously, but one thing that I really think by doing that, your mind and your body is doing something it don't want to do. And when you get a hard workout in, whether it be cardio, lifting, elliptical, whatever, but doing some type of physical activity for 30, 45, 60 minutes. It don't have to be real long, but getting a good sweat in, and then accomplishing that. First thing in the morning, your mind and body is doing something it really don't want to do because it'd rather lay in bed. I know I would. But by doing this, it definitely helps. So after that, I'll go in, take a hot shower, and then when I come out, first thing I'm going to do is kind of go over my plan for the day, which I highly urge you to do that the night before. Secondly, I'm writing down my goals for the day. Whatever it may be. I always tell my guys and gals, know your number. Okay, so if you don't know your number, something's definitely wrong. Know your number that you need to hit for the day, and we really try to minimize, which we'll go over that later. But know your number, but getting your goals down on paper. Physically write them down. Write your target goals, and it could be a 3, 6 month, 9 month, over the course of your life, what you want to accomplish. Write those things down every single day. I promise you, it will be a game changer. It's not a coincidence that I would write down, if there's a certain number of AP or a certain dollar amount that I wanted to deposit, I write that down specifically. And every day I'm writing that down. And that's all my brain knows. So whatever that number is, that's what my brain knows, and that's what I do. And almost every time I'm hitting that number, which I can then predict my income. And there's really not a better feeling when you know, hey, month in, month out, I know what I'm going to make. And especially in a sales commission job, when you can predict your income, that's a big deal. So map your day out the night before, but go over that. Have a plan, review the plan, make sure everything's organized, and then write them goals down. I'm a big goals guy. That is definitely something that you want to do. One thing I heard recently that I thought was really good, it don't have to be athletes. It could be just regular performers in the arts, whatever it may be. But there's basically 3 things that they do to be successful. They rest, they practice, they perform. And obviously rest is very important because we got to be fresh. We got to have high energy every day, because when we're in front of people, no one wants to buy something from someone that has no energy. So having the energy, having plenty of rest, practice your presentation over and over and over, in the car, in the shower, in front of the mirror, know what kind of tonality you're using, know what kind of body language you're using. All of those are huge, huge keys, in the sales world. You have to have that. That way, when you're ready to perform, you're well rested, you've had plenty of practice, now you're ready. Because I don't know if, whether you like going to Broadways or if you're into sports, none of those people performing are going to go right on stage or right on the football field with no practice. It's not going to happen, and they're certainly not going to go into an event on a Sunday afternoon not well rested. So rest, practice, perform, I think is absolutely huge. This is a big one here. Now we're getting a little bit more specific, in our industry. So leads, how to run leads, how many leads to get. This, if you do a lot of the other stuff that I'm talking about, I can tell you, if you incorporate that and then into our formula, there's no reason why you can't hit 6 figures. So first thing, and hopefully you guys can see this. If you can't, 25 to 30 direct mail leads a week. Highly suggest that you can sprinkle those in with Facebook, and we've had success with both direct mail and Facebook leads. But you want to get 25 to 30 direct mail leads a week. We're looking for 15 appointments a week, okay? And that's not, that shouldn't be hard at all, especially if you're using the phone like you should be. 15 appointments a week. By doing that, and I know this is something that we've learned here recently, out of 15, you're going to be sitting with hopefully 10 to 12. Of those 10 to 12, we're going to go on the low end and say you're going to close around 5 sales, which is basically an app a day if you're working just Monday through Friday. But 5 sales a week is even a little bit on the low end, but something that's very, very achievable. And at a 30% close, that is about where you should be, 25 to 30%. If you start getting 35, 40%, you're very solid in this industry. But right around 30, we'll take the average, 30% close. Average AP around 750. That's a little bit low for our group, but we'll keep the numbers low. And this is all based off an 80% contract. So we're hitting 5 sales a week at a 30% close at a 750 average. We're looking at grossing 140,000. Your net out would be 101,000. Now, one other key to this is referrals. Or a lot of you guys have been doing neighborhood enrollment. So one referral or one neighborhood enrollment, either one of those, getting one of those a week, you're looking at making, and this is even a little bit lower than the 750, you're looking at making an additional $31,000 a month, or excuse me, a year. It'd be nice to make $31,000 a month. $31,000 a year by just getting one of these a week, one or the other. And I would recommend being good at one. If you don't really like getting referrals, you better make sure you're doing some extra door knocks with the neighbors. However, if you're not good at referrals, I would be figuring it out, how to get good at it, because you're leaving, a golden opportunity there. You already are with your client, and I would have to think, hypothetically, they have at least one person that they care about, and we have a formula for getting referrals, and an excellent system that's proven. But getting one referral a week, guys, that's an extra 30,000, and that's on the high end. That's basically covering your lead cost, if not more. So that is huge. If you're not getting that, we need to figure out why you're not. But that's got to happen. So very simple, 25 to 30 leads a week. Now, The last thing I want to do is get into a credit card issue. But if you're just starting out, one thing I highly suggest is looking for the credit cards out there that have 0% interest for maybe 6 months, 9 months, some of them 12 months, 15 months. I've heard that's probably the best one that I've heard. But looking for that one that, and again, I'm not big on not paying your credit card, but 0%. And it will just buy you a little time, because you have to have inventory in this business. Unless you're going to really do a great job at hitting your family, friends, and a lot of network. If you can generate your own leads, hey, that's great. End of the day, you have to get 15 appointments, 5 sales a week. How you get them, it really don't matter. But going off of what I've done, I ran 25 to 30 direct mail leads. I did that for a long time. I worked my butt off to get 15 of these a week, to get 5 sales a week. Made sure that I closed at least 30%. That's a little bit low, but I wanted to make sure that I was always above that. And adding the referral game is huge. You have to have inventory. You have to make sure you can't own a business and not have items on the shelf to sell. But I'm fully aware that people can make it without buying leads, and I'm not in any business to try to sell leads. Just explaining how I made 6 figures and how I continue to make 6 figures every year in this business. I like leads. I like good leads. I like leads that there's no bait and switch. So solid leads in this business, I think, are absolutely huge, and we have those. Okay, so utilize those. But like I said, you can always mix in. We have a very solid source for Facebook leads. Use them. So you have plenty of opportunity there on a couple different scales to get your inventory that you need, to see enough people, because it's about seeing enough people. That way we can generate our 15 appointments. We want to get in front of 15 people, 10 to 15 every week. Bottom line is we got to have 5 to 6 sales a week. Okay, so having that down, and one thing I never did, I never chased, and I never went one single week. I never went a week when I was just focusing on producing, not having fresh leads each week. I didn't try to chase people down or set appointments into next week. That's why I always had urgency. I'm here today, I'm here tomorrow. If I was door knocking, I'm here the rest of today and I'm here tomorrow. Which one works best for you? Okay, I wasn't setting appointments for next Tuesday. And if they would say, well, I can't meet until next week, I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going to be at next week. I covered a couple different states, and that's just how I was, and that worked. I wasn't setting appointments for a week down the road. I had 25 to 30 leads in hand, and I had to get and set with as many of those as I possibly could. If I was on the phone, I'm not setting appointments for next week. I'm setting them for the 24 to 48 hours coming up. So make sure that you stay very, very tight on that. How to work the leads. A couple different things you want to do. Obviously, we want to set appointments by the phone. We want to be as efficient as we possibly can. So setting appointments by the phone, I think, is very solid. When do we make those calls? Here, a few things that we've learned from other people, so it's not just me. But the best time is Saturday mornings, I would say between 10 and 11 o'clock. Sunday evenings, I usually found between like 7 and 8, maybe 8:30, you can go as far as that. People are finished with their supper. They're kind of relaxing. You're getting them in a pretty decent mood, hopefully. Sunday night, I could always set up my Monday and a lot of times into my Tuesday. I never wanted to go if it was, well, how about Wednesday or Thursday? I would simply just say, well, I'll give you a call on Wednesday, and then we can set this appointment up for Thursday or Friday. But 24 to 48 hours is huge. But being disciplined, when that time comes, and I know it's, man, you got to have some discipline on a Sunday night, even on a Saturday morning. You have to have some discipline to do this, but it's your business and it does not take long. Okay? So running your leads, when you get those, make sure you start calling. You should be getting those on Friday. That's our system. That way you can call on Saturday morning. You can call on Sunday evening to set up your Monday and Tuesday. Okay? So we want to try to set, my goal for each session was to set at least 4 appointments. So if I was calling Saturday, if I got 4 appointments right away, I'm done. I'm finished for that session. And that may take 10 minutes, may take 15 minutes. If I don't hit the 4 like right away, I may take a quick little break, but in that hour, I will go the whole hour because I want to hit my 4 appointments during that session. Sunday comes, same thing. I'm looking to set 4. All right, so every time I'm calling, I'm trying to set 4 appointments. Now, Monday mornings, 9:15 to 10, I will hit the phones again. At that time, I'm not necessarily trying to set 4 appointments in the mornings. What I'm doing is I'm calling to try to fill in the rest of my day, or maybe fill in my Tuesday. Okay, so I'm running my leads, running my appointments. When I get home that evening, and I always want to make sure I was home in time on Mondays. That way I could set my appointments for the rest of the week, for like Tuesday, Wednesday. But my evening session, I will stay within that hour to try to get my 4 again. Okay, because ultimately I want 6 to 8 appointments in a day, and that's a lot. I've had as many, I think, as 7, and that's a lot. But I really try to front load the early part of my week, my Monday, Tuesday, my Wednesday, with as many appointments as I possibly can, because you're going to get some no-shows. It's just going to happen. I don't care what kind of lead you have, it's going to happen. But I would call Monday morning, Monday evening. I would do the same thing Tuesday morning and Tuesday evening. Now, by the time you hit Monday, Tuesday, you can kind of see, you know where your week's going. If I still didn't have a lot of appointments, I'm calling again on Wednesday. Very rarely do I have to get too deep into Wednesday on the phone. Between Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, I pretty much got my week locked in. So if you can stay disciplined on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, on the phone, you're going to be in good shape. So then, in between appointments or no-shows, that's when I do my door knocking. I'll door knock and either try to set appointments, because a lot of times, maybe the only time that you have is to go knock on the door quick and say, hey, I'm booked the rest of today, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. Does mornings or afternoons work best for you? And a lot of times I set a lot of appointments just because I didn't bring my binder up because I didn't have time. I had an appointment coming up, but I was close. Hey, let's go see if I can make another appointment quick. So that's what I would do. And that's how you write, I don't know, 6 to 10,000 in a week. Not saying you always do that consistently, but that's some of the experiences I've had. It's how do you get such big numbers? Well, there's been weeks I'm writing $6,000 to $10,000 in a week. But it's because I had solid appointments, and in between appointments, I'm not messing around. People they always give me a hard time. Very, very seldom do I make any stops. When I'm in my car, I'm locked and loaded, and I'm on to the next. I'm in a driveway and out of a driveway, less than a minute flat. I'm not wasting any time, rifling through papers, none of that. So, very, very key, to make sure that you stay efficient, setting the appointments and door knocking in between. You get to Thursday, I find myself doing a lot more door knocks. Fridays, you may have an occasional appointment, but I like to use that for my office day, really, as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to turn down any appointments if I can obviously get them on a Friday afternoon. But that Friday, I like to make sure I'm organizing I'm putting my order in for new leads. Where am I going? I try to stay efficient with that. I'm doing any extra paperwork that I need to. or self-improvement type stuff. So very, very important. One thing, when you do get your leads, get them in a route planner right away. Get those leads organized. That way, like when you're leaving a house, you're pulling your next lead. You're not like rifling through all your leads like, oh, where should I go next? It's in your route planner. You know where your appointments are, and then route your leads around that. I never like to use anything that would organize my route. I would organize my own route. I could look at, we use MapView a lot, which has been very good. But we'll use MapView, and what I like to do is wherever my appointments are, like my first one, if there's a no-show, I have maybe 3, 4, 5 leads that are close to that appointment. That way, if there's a no-show, hey, no big deal. I'm not out anything. I'm on to the next one. So I may have if you're in my car, a couple different clips of leads, and they're just kind of basically in quadrants. So if I'm in one area and I'm in the northern part, I've got my northern leads up here, and I know if I got 4 or 5 leads by this appointment, they're here. If I've got a handful of leads by the next appointment, they're there. Anytime there's a no-show, I never even worried about getting down or getting negative. I would immediately get in the car. I would hit my map view. It would take me to the next address. I'm pulling out. I already know which lead I'm going to because I've got everything in order, and I'm on to the next. Now, each day I've got a different route, of course. And it might get later in the day, and if I've got some time in between appointments, I've got the leads by that appointment in a certain clip together. That way, if that appointment's not there, or if I get done early and I close the deal, and I've got time before the next one, I'm very efficient, but everything is in place. So I would highly, highly recommend having your leads organized. You may clip, the night before you're kind of mapping out your day. You might have 4 or 5 different clips of leads. That way you're staying very efficient, because you want to see us. My thing is, if I could get through more leads, or if I could get through leads in 2 to 3 days, and it takes someone else 6 to 8 days, I'm going to double their money. So I wanted to get through leads. I wanted to be super efficient. I wanted to get my nose out of the way, but I wanted to be very efficient. And I never once, I've already had where I had an agent with me for training. We had 5 appointments. Thought it was going to be a huge day. Ended up every single one either no-showed or rescheduled. But since we had, I had plenty of leads to work, I had a plan B, and they were well organized. It was super easy because we were just on to the next. And that day was the most AP I ever wrote in going on 4 years. And I had 5 appointments, and I went all the way from near where I live, from Dolphus to Lima to Toledo, back down to Lima. I think I got home around 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. But I had the best day ever in as far as writing AP, and every appointment canceled or rescheduled. So I went 0 for 5 on the appointments, but still had my best day ever. So if you're organized, and if you need more help on that, reach out to me. I mean, I'd gladly help, but it really doesn't take a whole lot. You look at your map view or whatever route planner you got, and put those, few leads around your appointment, so it's very quick, very efficient. What else we got here? Presentation. Now I'm not going to get too deep into this. Let me backtrack here real quick before we even get into that. As far as setting up appointments and door knocking, one thing that I also feel that I'm pretty solid at, and some of our better producers are very solid at, is they have the verbiage down ice cold. I mean, verbatim, very fluid, very confident at the door, and on the phone. There is no hesitation. There is no pause. A pause waiting for that individual, that client to, for some, give you some type of rebuttal. Having that verb and practice, practice, practice. All right, it's paramount that you guys know exactly what you're saying when you get to the door. There's no stuttering, stammering around. You say you say the whole spiel, and confident. Those people, if you go to the door confident, and when you say, I'm a state licensed field underwriter, confidently, guys, you're going to get in. And the whole, these people don't know what you're always there for. I'm sure they have a lot of people knocking on their door, but you have to be very confident. When you're on the phones, practice. Don't practice on a brand new lead. Practice on old leads, right? But having that verbiage down so it's very, very fluid when you're on the phone, it makes a big difference. But as far as a presentation, we have plenty of things to know the presentation. So I'm not going to go into the presentation, but I highly, again, I'm going to go off of me. I use a presentation every time I sit down. I never try to rush the presentation. If somebody's allowing me in the house, and they may only say, well, I only got 2 minutes, so make it quick. Well, I'm going to go through my presentation, all right? And I'm going to go through page by page. I'm always going to have my pen out so that I can point, but I'm not going to just skip anything. I'm not going to waste any opportunities, because I'm telling you, I've done it the other way, where I just kind of sat down and asked a few questions, did a little fact finding, and guys, almost every time, I've got to think about it. Now I don't want to overload them by any means, but if you just rush through something, you're not building any rapport, you're not building any trust, and at the end of the day, 2 reasons why people aren't going to purchase something from you: trust or money. And if they don't trust you, they feel like it's just a rush, and you're just here to try to get a quick dollar, it ain't happening. So know the presentation, use the presentation, use the the presentation binder that we have. Right there, it gives you a lot more fact finding. We have our power questions that we use. Ask those questions. All questions should get answers. And if you're asking questions and not getting answers, something's wrong. Because at the end of the day, the people who are very good at sales are great listeners. They do more listening than they do talking. You want the client talking. You want them talking about why we're there, the experiences that they've had that's related to why we're there. We're not there to talk about, any activity or hobby that they like, where it's going on in great length, where we're talking 45 minutes about fishing. Not happening. But make sure, and we have it broke down, so I'm not going to go over that, of the warm-up all the way to the referral. So presentation's huge. If you need help on that, by all means, go to those videos, get the breakdowns, listen to my presentation. Again, I hear a lot of times, well, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to present this way, or I'm going to do my journal this way, or that's okay. The only thing I know is what I did, and the people that I learned from are millionaires in this business. So I thought, why not follow what they gave me, and now I've been able to make a lot of it into my own. But again, you're taking bits and pieces. But this is what I know worked for me to get financially, not where I want to be yet, but 6 figures into this business year in and year out. Everything that I'm telling you is exactly what I did. Okay? We talked a little bit about referrals, so I'm not going to hit too hard on that. If we have a great referral system that we use, and we can go over that more in depth. Last thing, the follow-up. I think the follow-up is so important, and oftentimes I know I've missed out on opportunities because I didn't do a good enough job of following up. But like in my map view, that's a planner that I use. I now pin those. Anybody that I need to follow up on now they're in a different color. And every day that I'm looking, I want some type. It might be a door knock, something I'm doing here recently. I may send them a card. After I met with them, and maybe I wasn't able to close the deal, and they may have said, nope, I'm not interested. But I still feel like there's maybe a shot there. I'm going to send them a little card, just thank them for their time, and what a pleasure it was to sit with them to discuss this very important matter. And if they have any questions, feel free to reach out. But there's a lot of different ways to do a follow-up. And by not following up at all, I know what kind of results that you're going to get, what kind of results I'm going to get. They're not very good. So follow-up is huge. Make that extra stop. Reach out to them in different ways. It might be by text. It might be by card. It might be by phone. It might be by a door knock. Everything that I'm learning and have learned on the follow-up, it may take 7 to 10 extra attempts to close that deal. And that's a big deal. That all adds back into how many sales a week that we need. We need 5 to 6. So I hope this helps. I get asked all the time, how'd you make 6 figures? I want to do what you did. But I tell you what, it takes a lot of work. There's no shortcut on that. I pick a lot of people's brain. I reach out to them a lot. I've got a guy that helps me. It's going to help take me to another level. I know that. I also have a gentleman that I'm basically partnered with. I tell him daily where I'm at on my goals. Daily. He knows as well as what I do where I'm at for my goals every day. I might reach out to him 2 to 3 times a day to let him know, hey, I'm this much closer. Hey, I'm this much closer. He gets as excited as I do as we start chipping away. And that's just one way to it's accountability. I can't say I've always really had that, but it has definitely helped take me to another level. So I'll be honest, there's several times I thought, I can't make that. I can't do that kind of sales or that amount. And I'm pretty confident about what I do, but I now see the vehicle that we're in, and what we can do for folks, what we can do for ourselves, and man, the sky is definitely the limit. So now I'm making sure that I push myself, to get to where I need to be. So putting that out there, putting goals out there, and sharing that with someone, it doesn't have to be with me or another manager. It could be with someone that's on the same level as you are. But boy, it's a game changer when at the beginning of the month you snap a picture to your partner. Hey, here's what I'm going to accomplish this month. And and as you chip away at that, and send that to your partner, it definitely helps. It helps a lot. So these are all things that I've done. And I do have a passion for the business that definitely helps. I think a lot of this requires great knowledge. It also requires a lot of energy. So that going back to the rest, the practice, the perform, that's not just words. That's something that needs to be done. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. But we definitely have the 6-figure plan, the formula, and be happy to go over it more in depth with you if you need to. Hopefully this hit everything that you need. Thank you.